Sheep, sheep, sheep. It's time for sleep. Hello everyone, my name is Owain on the Thomas Bros channel, and today we are going to be talking about the Bendy movie. Now, as you can see, I am a big Bendy fan. Ever since day one, ever since the first chapter came out, I've absolutely loved the story and the game, and I have loads of merch, as you can see. I've got a Bendy and Sammy mask, Sammy Lawrence being my favourite character in the game. I mean, how could he not? I've got a load of the plushies, I think maybe all of the plushies. Obviously the Bendy axe, Sammy's axe, and I've got almost all of the action figures, bar from the ones that were made by Jakks Pacific, and I even had the Lego sets that were made by McFarlane, I think it was made by McFarlane, I can't remember. I mean, I had them, but now they're all in pieces. So, I have been a massive fan of the Bendy franchise. Put those guys away. And all I have wanted since the first time I really got into Bendy was a Bendy movie. And not just any Bendy movie, I wanted a horror film. I really wanted a real live-action kind of horror film of Bendy that would really put you on the edge of your seats and scare you. That would give you real scares. So when I found out that this dream was actually becoming a reality in, December last year, on Christmas, I think it was Christmas, I was bouncing off the walls because it was finally they were making a Bendy movie, which I guess was no surprise considering how well the FNAF movie did. But still, they were actually making one. And obviously, it's being made by Radar Pictures, who made the Jumanji movies, right? The Jumanji movies with The Rock. So, that's very exciting. I know there are a few other people that worked on it, that are working on it as well, but I can't remember who they are. And ever since that was announced, we've been getting updates from the Meatley himself. And the most recent update has been with the director, which was announced yesterday on Halloween to be... Okay, I'm gonna butcher this name, so please forgive me. Andrew Owens, I think it was. I can't quite remember. But I've seen some of the things that he's done, not actually watched them, but I've looked through the work he's done, and they've all seemed to be horror films, which is good. It makes sense, because the Meatley has also said that this will be a horror film, that it will actually have scares. So by no way is this going to be PG, which, yes, it shouldn't be PG, or even PG-13 like the FNAF movie was. It should really be scary. It really needs to have that feel of a horror film, and that is what they're going for, because they've hired a horror movie director, and obviously the Meatleys made it quite clear what kind of film he wants. So that is very exciting, because again, that's all I've wanted is a horror movie Bendy film. I've imagined so many throughout all these years, I've imagined so many different ideas and possibilities for a Bendy film. I honestly was starstruck for a few days that there was a Bendy film coming out when it was announced. I honestly didn't believe it. And now we're getting a director? And it's it's just shocking. So, we don't know anything about the film, though. Everything I've just said now is what we know. The director, the style, and the people making it. That is all we know. The Meatley, though, has said that it will be practical effects for the film, which is good, because I feel like these films shouldn't rely on CGI. It should be practical. Like, it should be actual costumes with maybe a bit of CGI if, like, you know, the costumes are too out there. Like, there's definitely going to be CGI in the film. It's not all going to be practical. And I think that's how it should be. It should always be, unless in some scenarios where the costumes are just so out there that it needs to be CGI. Like, for instance, Hulk or Thanos, where they had to use motion capture because, I mean, come on, you can't actually make a human like the size of an entire doorway. Okay, well, no. So, obviously, these costumes will need CGI, but the more practical you can make it, the better it will look, and also, the less money you will have to use. Because, again, it's more expensive for CGI than it is for practical things. So, that is very exciting. I can already imagine a kind of Planet of the Apes kind of thing for the Ink Demon, where they get like stilts on the arms to kind of make him crawl around like an actual animal, and like the apes in Planet of the Apes, and they add all the costume on there. So that's how it should be, practical with bits of CGI to make it look more real. But anyway, I've just gone off on a completely different thing. So that is literally all we know about the film. But the director did say that it is coming sooner. Like he said something along the lines of, be prepared to see Bendy on the big screen soon, or something along those lines. Again, go actually see the video of announcing the director for yourself, because I've seen it yesterday and my mind's just completely boiled talking about it now, so I can't remember everything. But it's very, that's very interesting, isn't it? Because we only just found out about the movie last year. And when he says sooner than expected, I mean, some people could even think, it could actually be next year that it would come out. But that's, ridiculous, isn't it? Because we've only pretty much just found out about the film. They've only just hired a director. To have the idea that it's going to come out in 2025, even late 2025, is a bit of a stretch, isn't it? So I think that it'll probably come out 2026, maybe? Maybe late 26, or even early 27. Maybe, but that's just my opinion on when the release date will come out. Because, hopefully it won't take 10 years like the FNAF movie did. But I still hope that it does come out somewhere in 26. Because I feel like if it did come out in 25, that could be seen as rushing it a bit, maybe. Because if they've only just hired a director, it's I don't know. I don't know how movies work. I don't know how... I don't know what any of the stuff that goes on behind the scenes. They could be filming now for all I know. No, I'm joking. But, if I were to put my money on what would actually happen in the film, though, what the story would be, because I've wondered now, would it be based on Ink Machine or Dark Revival, or even the books, for that matter? we don't know what it's going to be based on. I would say, though, probably Ink Machine, right? Because that was the first game. So you've got to start with the first one. Assuming they want to make a trilogy out of this, which I assume, in an ideal world, they would want to make a trilogy out of it. But I wouldn't be surprised if they did borrow ideas from Dark Revival and the books. Like, again, I feel like it'll mostly be based on Ink Machine, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did take bits and pieces from other bits of Bendy Media to put it in. If I were to say, like, obviously Henry would be the main character, and obviously the Ink Demon, and it's like, please, get the person that voiced the Ink Demon in Dark Revival, please get him to reprise his role as the Ink Demon. Because that was a perfect voice. It was like that. It was very... that kind of thing. It was like the perfect voice for the Ink Demon. So get the voice actor back and make it look like the Ink Demon from Dark Revival. Please, Meatley, please make it like that, because that was perfect. I'd also say, I don't know why, but I feel like Sammy Lawrence will be in it, you know? This guy, I think, is going to be in the film, which I think is good, because Sammy is my favourite character. The whole thing about, like, him being this cultist that worships the Ink Demon, and even, like, in the books, with his whole backstory of drinking the ink and all that. And for some reason, I just feel like he's going to be a character in the film, which I hope, because I feel like Sammy is a good starter villain. Like, obviously the Ink Demon's going to be the villain, but they need another villain as well in there. It can't just be like an hour or 2 hours of just Henry running away from the Ink Demon. There has to be, I feel like, another villain to do more stuff with Henry. And I feel like Sammy is a good starting pick. And then, like, set up someone like Alice or Boris for a sequel. I think that is, like, my ideal thing. So that's my opinion on it. Obviously, I'm very, very excited. I think if, in an ideal world, if I were to put a rating on the film, ideally I'd want it to be a 15 or something. I mean, hell, if they really wanted to push it, they could make it an 18. But I feel like 15 is a good ratio, because, I mean, what is it now? Has it been 7 years? I'm trying to remember to when I first, like, discovered the game. Was I 6? Can't remember. But I feel like it's been 7 years. 7 years or something since we discovered the game. So most of the young kids like me who discovered it when they were younger will now be, like, into their mid-teenage years, or even, like, late teenage years when the film comes out, whether that most likely will be 2026 or 27. So, pardon me, they'll be teenagers, so they'll be allowed to go and see films that are not PG or PG-13. So I feel like it's a good way of making a film scary enough, and horrifying enough, to the point where, you know, it'll do justice to the dark lore of the game, but also not be dark enough to the point where you're closing off a large portion of your audience, you know? So I feel like a 15 or even 16 rating is the ideal thing. But of course, 18 works just as well, because then you can really hammer into just how violent the ink demon, kills people and eats people, like how he does in the game when you see him kill like the lost ones and stuff in Dark Revival. So yeah, I'm very excited to see how the film turns out. I know I've been rambling a bit and I've probably been speaking a little bit too fast, but that just goes to show how excited I am to see how this film turns out. And when, God knows how long away this is, but when we do get a trailer, I will be analysing that from like the sun and back. Okay? So with that being said, and with all my thoughts now laying out on the cutting table, or the cutting room table, I want to know your thoughts. What did you think about, what are your thoughts about the director, about the Bendy movie? Did you think it should have been maybe a TV show? Or that the person directing it should have been the director of John Wick? Because I know the person that made John Wick really likes Bendy, so I was personally hoping that he might actually do it. I haven't seen any of the John Wick films, but if someone with passion for something and then they get to make that something, it's going to be good then. So, but what do you think about the director, about everything I've said? I want to know all your thoughts. And until then, my name's been Owain, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Ta-da!